Hey, what's up? Tonight I'm messing around with the SP-404 Ace compressor, throwing it on a beat to head towards that pumping sidechain compression type sound. Long story short, the cut to the chase, straight to the point version of this tutorial goes, I like the kick loud, the other drums and samples mix super low, select everything with remain, turn on MFX 12, dials all the way right, left, right, and effect limit on. That said, I'm going to now break down how to use the compressor, approach mixing, and what the deal is with effect limit being turned on or off. Righto, so without the effect, here's the beat I'll be working with. It's pretty simple. Using resample, I made a 2-bar loop with some piano chopped up. Then the drums are a hat, kick, ghost kick, and snare. I'm using the pattern sequencer because it's better for demonstrating mixing techniques, but all of this of course can be applied to beat making via resample method. A quick word on the kick sample. It's got to be loud. If I'm copying it onto the SD card from a computer, I might normalize the peak level to like -0.2 dB first. If I'm sampling the kick through the line in, sometimes I let the peak light turn on just a little to make sure it's hot. But use your ears. If you can hear it clipping or distorting, that's a deal breaker. Secondly, the length of the kick sample matters. A shorter kick will trigger the compressor differently to a longer kick. The kick that I'm using here is a fairly short sample. But here's the original longer version of it. I figure it can't hurt to keep both nearby until I decide which one I like better once the compressor is turned on. Speaking of, hold remain, select all the pads, and MFX 12. To start I have sustain fully right, attack fully left, and backing off the level just a little bit to be safe. Also, effect limit is currently turned off. Without adjusting the mix, here's what the beat sounds like now with compression. It's not pretty. Everything's trying to be louder than everything else, kind of like a room full of people all trying to get out at the same time. First, I'm going to turn down all the drums but the main kick. Next up, the sample. Listen to what happens as I turn it down. Somewhere between 30 and 40 is usually a cool place to start. The balancing act here is to get it low enough for the effect to be stronger, but not too low that it turns into super noise, which also sometimes can be dope too. Alright, our two parameters to play with are attack and sustain. What attack is how much of the sample is played before the compressor starts doing its thing. Think of it like how long a foot hovers above a Coke can before crushing it. This results in a more aggressive click at the start of the kick, like this. Sometimes that's cool, sometimes it's not. For this beat, I'm going to give it just a little pepper. Sustain is how long after the kick it pulls up the volume of the piano, like two hands stretching that crushed Coke can back out. Fully left, it's a slow, smooth volume change. Fully right, it's fast, almost loud right away. Now I'm going to sweep through and find a sweet spot where I like the speed of the volume change, but not squashing the lows of the kick. At the end of the day, this is 100% a matter of taste and it all depends on the style of samples and the tempo of your beat. Earlier I mentioned that the kick sample length is also a contributing factor. Let's compare the shorter and longer kicks. I'll decide which I like better later, once the rest of the drum samples are back in. Now. When I turn off the compressor, you'll notice how hilariously low the other drum samples are. This is so they get treated like the piano does. Sometimes it could be better to deselect them, leaving the compression just on the kick and the sample, and then turning the other drums back up. But for this next part, I'm going to put them back how they were. Just quickly, I'm going to exchange the short kick for the long kick. Alright, I think I'll stick with the long one for now. Here's the deal with effect limit. When it's turned on, it makes changes to some of the MFX to stop them from getting freaky loud and damaging your speakers, or more so that of a large PA in a club. What that means for our friend MFX 12 is that it starts to act more like a limiter than a compressor, and Control 2's function changes from attack to release, which can also help bring out the ducking effect. Set like this, with sustain fully right and release fully left, this is kind of like the old SP-404 vinyl sim compression if you had the compression dial cranked all the way up and the noise and wobble dials all the way down. You know what? I'm going to try that shorter kick again. Turns out with this beat, I like the shorter kick with effect limit on and the longer kick with effect limit off. So lastly, let's compare the beat with no compression, compression with effect limit off, and then compression with effect limit on. Alright, that's about all there is to that. Take it easy. Laters.